Hello everyone, and welcome back to NT Coins World. If you're a coin enthusiast, collector, or just someone fascinated by the history and value of rare coins, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into two incredibly valuable wheat pennies, the 1935 and 1940 wheat pennies in fine condition. These two coins are often overlooked, but they hold some interesting surprises when it comes to their rarity, mintage, and the potential value they can fetch on the market today. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more valuable coin discoveries. Now let's dive in. Let's start with the 1935 wheat penny, a coin that at first glance might not seem like anything too special, but in fine condition this penny can hold some surprising value, especially when you take into account its mintage and historical context. Produced during the Great Depression, this coin carries more than just metal. It carries a snapshot of a nation struggling and recovering from one of the worst economic times in its history. In fine condition, the 1935 wheat penny typically features clear details, with the wheat stalks on the reverse side showing some definition, but still slightly worn. The word liberty on the obverse, along with the date and "In God We Trust," should still be readable, though they may not be as crisp as a higher-grade coin. The fine condition is where this coin starts to reveal its potential for value. While a well-worn 1935 wheat penny might only fetch a few cents, one in fine condition is worth considerably more. The mintage of the 1935 wheat penny is significant. The US Mint produced over 131 million of these coins that year. This high mintage may suggest that the coin was fairly common at the time, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Coins from this era were used extensively in daily transactions, meaning that over time, a large number of these pennies have been lost or destroyed due to wear and tear. This brings us to the real value of the 1935 wheat penny in fine condition. Due to its status as a common coin, it might not have been seen as rare in the past, but when compared to other coins from the same time period, it stands out for its relative scarcity in fine condition. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins from the 1930s, especially those that have survived in better shape. This, combined with the fact that the US Mint made fewer pennies in subsequent years, makes the 1935 wheat penny an interesting coin for both casual collectors and serious investors. Now let's talk about the value. In fine condition, the 1935 wheat penny is generally worth between $3 to $5 on average in today's market. However, with the right buyer or at an auction, you could see this coin go for as much as $10 to $15, depending on the demand. The value can fluctuate based on factors like the exact condition of the coin, any unique errors, or if it happens to be a particularly well-preserved example of this series. In terms of errors, the 1935 wheat penny doesn't have many major varieties or mistakes, which is why finding one in fine condition is important for collectors. The majority of the 1935 pennies that exist are pretty standard, but if you find one with any unusual die cracks or doubling on the lettering, you could see an increased value. The most notable errors for this coin tend to be the repunched mint marks, which are always a hit with collectors. If you happen to come across one of these, the value could rise well beyond the typical range. With all of this in mind, the 1935 wheat penny is a coin that embodies the spirit of the time it was produced, an era of rebuilding and recovery. As the economy gradually came back to life, so did the legacy of these coins, and today they hold an enduring appeal for numismatists and history buffs alike. Now that we've looked at the 1935 wheat penny, let's shift our focus to another penny from the 1930s, the 1940 wheat penny. While it's a few years later, the 1940 penny is part of the same enduring wheat series and carries its own interesting set of characteristics and value. Just like the 1935 penny, the 1940 version holds a special place in US coinage history. The 1940 wheat penny was minted just before the United States entered World War II, a time when the country was on the brink of significant global conflict. In terms of its design, it is almost identical to the 1935 penny featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse. However, while the design remained the same, the historical context of this coin is quite different from its 1935 counterpart. During the 1940s, the US Mint was still producing a large volume of pennies, and in 1940, the mintage of the wheat penny was massive. Over 1 billion coins were struck. This high production number means that in general, the 1940 wheat penny is not rare. However, this does not mean it lacks value. In fact, because of its age and the scarcity of examples in fine condition, this coin is still highly sought after by collectors today. Coins from this era were in circulation for decades, and the sheer number of coins produced means that most examples have suffered significant wear. In fine condition, the 1940 wheat penny is one of the better preserved examples from that time. The wheat stalks on the reverse should show some detail, and while the lettering and date may be slightly worn, they will still be legible. The level of detail in the coin is what makes it stand out in fine condition, and it's this condition that drives its value up compared to lower grade coins. When it comes to the value of the 1940 wheat penny in fine condition, it can generally range between $2 to $4 on average. However, as with most coins, its value can vary depending on specific factors like the presence of any errors or minting anomalies. For instance, if you find a 1940 penny with a clear double die or any sort of unusual mint mark, the value could increase significantly. These types of errors are particularly sought after by collectors and can drive prices up to as much as $50 to $100, depending on the severity and desirability of the error. In terms of notable varieties, one of the more interesting things about the 1940 penny is the possibility of finding a 1940S minted in San Francisco or a 1940D minted in Denver. While these coins are still relatively common, their value can rise slightly when they are found in good or fine condition, especially with the S mint mark being rarer than the D version. One unique feature of the 1940 wheat penny is the growing scarcity of well-preserved examples. While more than 1 billion of these pennies were minted, most have long since been lost, spent, or worn down to the point where they're no longer recognizable. For collectors looking to add a 1940 penny to their collection, finding one in fine condition can be a real treasure, and the scarcity of well-preserved coins from this time period only adds to its charm. In terms of overall demand, the 1940 wheat penny is popular among both beginning and advanced collectors. It's a great coin to look for if you're just starting out in the world of numismatics, and it offers a glimpse into the history of the pre-Wheat era. The 1935 penny, just like the 1940, serves as a reminder of the era before the US Mint shifted away from the wheat design in 1959. So, there you have it. The 1935 and 1940 wheat pennies, two relatively common coins that hold significant value in fine condition. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting to dive into the world of numismatics, these pennies provide a great example of how condition, rarity, and historical context can make a coin much more valuable than it might initially seem. If you happen to have either of these coins in your collection, now is the time to take a closer look. You never know, your 1935 or 1940 penny could be worth much more than you think. Keep an eye out for those special varieties or minting errors, and remember that the value of these coins can fluctuate over time, so always stay informed about the latest market trends. Thanks for tuning in to NT Coins World today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth looks at rare coins and their fascinating stories. Until next time, happy collecting.